Today, you look deeper into the first sense. This is the 7-Minute Daily Focus, day 70 of 365. Today's focus, the law of the mind. You remain within one governing structure, the law of the mind. For 14 days, I do not change subject. You deepen focus, you deepen understanding. Effect stands in front. Origin stands behind. The mind stands between. This is the order of the law of the mind. Today, you look deeper into the first sense. The first sense perceives metaphysical actuality. Your 5 physical senses report what has already appeared in front. They report effect. They confirm what has already become physically visible. But the first sense operates differently. The first sense perceives what stands behind appearance. It perceives metaphysical actuality before the 5 senses confirm physical expression. Through the first sense, the mind recognizes what is real before it becomes physically visible. Ideas are recognized here. Vision is recognized here. Direction is recognized here. This is why the first sense must guide the mind. When the mind aligns with the first sense, the mind becomes the ground in which the seed is received. Thought is the seed placed within the ground of the mind, operating by the same law as a seed within soil. Thinking then works upon both the ground and the seed. Thinking is the catalyst of germination for what has been planted. Just as a seed in soil does not grow by force but by the right conditions, the seed of thought begins to unfold when thinking provides attention, order, and continuity. Thinking does not create the seed and it does not become the ground. Instead, it activates what has already been planted. In this way, thinking functions like the warmth and moisture that awaken a seed within the earth. The seed already contains its structure, but germination begins when the conditions are right. When thinking remains steady and aligned with what has been recognized through the first sense, the seed of thought begins to open. Its internal pattern starts to organize, and the first stages of metaphysical formation quietly begin within the ground of the mind. This is the process of allowing or authorizing the seed of thought to translate so that metaphysical pattern and structure may begin to form. But when the mind becomes dominated by the reports of the 5 senses, the order reverses. The mind begins to react to appearance instead of recognizing what stands behind it. Reaction belongs to the world of effect. Action belongs to the world of cause. Reaction is secondary because it responds to what has already appeared, while action is primary because it originates from cause before appearance forms. Action belongs to cause. Reaction belongs to effect. Cause always precedes appearance. Notice where your attention is directed. Is your attention guided only by what the 5 senses report, or does your mind remain attentive to what has been recognized through the first sense? When the first sense guides the mind, sequence is preserved. Recognition occurs through the first sense. The mind receives what is recognized and becomes the ground in which the seed may be planted. Thought appears as the seed within the ground of the mind, operating by the same law as seed. Thinking works upon the ground and the seed. This is the process of allowing or authorizing the seed of thought to translate into its physical expression. Metaphysical pattern begins to stabilize. Metaphysical structure develops. Physical structure eventually appears in front. The first sense is subtle, yet it is fundamental to the proper order of the mind. Unlike the 5 senses, it does not rely upon physical evidence. It does not wait for confirmation through sight, sound, touch, taste, or smell. Instead, it recognizes what is already present within metaphysical reality before it becomes physically visible. The first sense therefore perceives actuality at the level of origin. Consider how ideas first appear within the mind. Before anything becomes physically visible, something is first recognized internally. A direction becomes clear, an insight appears, a vision forms. At that moment, nothing may yet exist in front for the five senses to confirm, yet the mind recognizes a clear sense of reality behind appearance. This recognition belongs to the first sense. The first sense therefore functions as the perceiving faculty of the unseen world. It perceives the metaphysical ground where ideas and dreams originate. It recognizes direction before circumstance reflects that direction. It perceives what is real before evidence appears. When the mind learns to respect this perception, a profound change occurs in the order of thinking. Instead of reacting to what already exists in front, the mind begins to move according to what has been recognized behind. Reaction begins to dissolve, and recognition begins to guide interpretation. This is why the first sense is essential to the proper operation of the mind. The mind becomes the ground in which what is recognized may take root, and thought itself appears as the seed within that ground. When recognition is clear, the thought that appears as seed carries coherence and internal order because it originates from what has been recognized through the first sense. Thinking then works upon the ground of the mind and the seed of thought, processing what has been planted so that metaphysical pattern may begin to stabilize. But when the mind becomes dominated by the five senses, the order reverses. The mind begins to react to appearances. Thought then arises as reaction to circumstance rather than as seed originating from recognized reality. Such seeds often carry confusion because they are formed through reaction rather than recognition. Recognition and reaction therefore represent two very different modes of perception. Recognition is calm, steady, and directional. Reaction is hurried, emotional, and unstable. Recognition belongs to the first sense. Reaction is often stimulated by the five senses. When the mind gives priority to the first sense, it remains aligned with origin. The mind begins to trust the clarity that arises internally before evidence appears externally. In doing so, it allows thought to appear as seed originating from metaphysical actuality rather than from temporary circumstances. Thinking can then perform its role properly. It examines the seed that has appeared through recognition. It clarifies its direction. It arranges its elements into coherent order. Gradually, the seed stabilizes into metaphysical pattern. Over time, this pattern becomes metaphysical structure. That structure exists first within the unseen activity of the mind before it becomes visible within the physical world. When the structure has stabilized sufficiently, physical expression eventually appears in front. This reveals the true sequence of reality. Recognition occurs first through the first sense. The mind receives that recognition and becomes the ground in which the seed is placed. Thought is the seed within the ground of the mind. Thinking works upon the ground and the seed, stabilizing what has been planted into metaphysical pattern. That pattern develops into metaphysical structure. Physical structure later appears in the world of the five senses. Understanding this sequence restores patience to the mind. Many ideas are abandoned because the five senses do not yet confirm them. Yet the first sense perceives actuality before appearance. What is recognized through the first sense may require time for thinking to stabilize and for structure to develop. When patience is preserved, the mind allows the sequence to unfold naturally. Recognition guides the mind. The mind is the ground. Thought appears as the seed within that ground. Thinking works upon both the ground and the seed, stabilizing them into metaphysical pattern. Structure gradually forms behind the scenes of physical visibility. Eventually, what was once recognized internally becomes visible externally. What the first sense perceived as metaphysical actuality becomes its physical expression, confirmed by the five senses. This is why the first sense must guide the mind. It keeps the mind aligned with what is real behind appearance. It protects the sequence through which ideas and dreams travel from the unseen ground of origin into the visible world of expression. Effect stands in front. Origin stands behind. The mind stands between. The first sense recognizes what stands behind. The five senses confirm what appears in front. Affirmation for day 70. My mind is guided by the first sense. I recognize metaphysical actuality before physical appearance. My mind is the ground in which thought appears as seed. Thinking is the catalyst of germination within the ground of the mind, allowing and authorizing the seed of thought to translate into physical expression. What is recognized behind becomes physically visible in front by order, by the law of the mind.